All right, so this week we are going to be examining three case studies: the laundromat video, which is posted on You Learn, and the Sandy Hook massacre, which is in your reading packet, and the Westboro Baptist Church story, which is also in your packet. So, what we're looking at is the central course question. We're examining these case studies in light of that central course question. The central course question is, how much time and energy should I spend on myself versus others? Should I spend all my time on myself, some of my time, none of my time? What is my proper, what is the proper allocation? Is there a moral answer to that question? So think about the case studies with that in mind. Another relevant question regards what we were doing last week with the idea of universalism and relativism. Moral relativism means that right and wrong are simply a matter of opinion, that there is no one opinion that is better than another. No one is more right than another. This can take two forms. It can take the form of what we call communal relativism, and that is where the community, the society decides what's right. So no society is better or worse than another. Or subjective, individual relativism, where each individual determines what is right and wrong, and no individual is more right or wrong than another. Everyone's opinions are absolutely equal. So again, think about the case studies with that in mind. Do you agree with moral relativism? Do you agree that everyone's opinions are just as good as any others? Or do you agree with moral universalism, which essentially says there are certain rights and wrongs, regardless of what you think, regardless of what your opinion is, and you can do something that is bad? Okay, so the case studies, the laundromat video, again, is a separate video. You're going to be able to examine that and hear what happens there. The two case studies I want to talk about in this video are the Sandy Hook and Westboro Baptist Church. They are both potentially examples of radical egotism. So these are people that would spend all their time and energy on themselves. These are people where the only thing that matters is them. Their only goal, their only value, the only thing that matters is their plans, their desires, and nothing else matters. So I think we can certainly use these case studies as an example of that form, that degree of egotism. And again, think about the central course question, how much time and energy should I spend on myself? And are these people wrong? And if you think they are wrong, then you're not a moral relativist. You don't think it's just a matter of opinion. Okay, Sandy Hook. I'm sure most of you remember this a few years back now, but a completely dramatic, tragic, horrendous incident where a young man, Adam Lanza, went into a school in Connecticut and essentially gunned down 20 or so kindergartners, killed a principal, killed a teacher or two, and then shot himself. It certainly seems like it would be a case of radical egotism where he just did what he did simply for his own goals, his own desires. So ask yourself, why did he do what he did? Why did he shoot these kids? What was the reason? What was he trying to satisfy? What was he trying to accomplish? I think another very relevant example or question is whether he's responsible. You may say he's a radical egotist. He only cared about himself, but he's not morally responsible. He wasn't in control of himself, perhaps. And then finally, I think another question that you want to think about in this story, shooting himself. Does that make him more or less of an egotist at the end? Okay, the Westboro Baptist Church. So again, you're going to read about it in the reading packet, but essentially it's a pastor who was somewhat abusive to his family. He became famous, made national headlines because his church protested the funerals of fallen soldiers, and they would hold up very offensive signs like "God hates fags" or "Thank God for dead soldiers." So he was very much against homosexuality, very much against what he saw as America's permissive attitude toward homosexuality. And certainly at first glance, it appears like he's a radical egotist. I think you can make a very, very strong case that he is a radical egotist, that he only cared about himself. But when you're watching this video, when you're reading the story and you're reading about his actions, One could. It is possible to make the argument that he was actually the most generous, that he actually cared about people very deeply. And so, that'll be interesting on the discussion boards to see how you guys react, and whether anybody is able to kind of identify that argument as to why someone could argue that he is the most compassionate or most caring or something like that. Again, you don't have to agree with it, but it is good to kind of examine these case studies in their fullest possible depths.